Hey guys, benpaines here, and today we're back once again for another video, and this time we're back down at Teamsport Bristol, and instead of doing just a generic video, I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a lap guide just to see how the new karts perform and to sort of display some of the lines I take to see if I can help some of you guys out. Now if I do manage to help you out, can you please leave a like on the video down below, as I really do appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, if you haven't already, make sure to hit the subscribe button, as we're very close to 450 subscribers, and it really does mean the world to me. However, what you're seeing in the background is the lap I'm about to analyse. I thought I'd let it run out first of all in its entirety, and now we're going to jump in and break it down and see sort of the lines that I take. So jumping back into the footage, you can see we're just coming around the last corner, ready to prepare for the the recorded lap, not the first lap. As we come across the start finish line, I like to move the kart to the middle of the track rather than staying tight to the left or tight to the right, just because this allows you to then carry as much speed as you can through the first corner. Now we keep the foot planted the whole time, trying to aim for this apex here on the left hand side, obviously trying to stay as close to the barrier as possible without hitting it. Next we will move back to the middle, to the right hand side of the track, and where the video pauses, this is where I'll begin to hit the brake pedal. Now I only do this to about 10 to 20% in these karts at the moment, as they're very sensitive. We're aiming to just miss the first apex, which is shown here, in order to hold down the steering angle at a constant rate to not scrub the tyres. Now as we get the kart rotated here, I'll get back on the power at about this part here, just clipping this inside section of the second part of the apex there, in order to get as much momentum out of the corner as possible, keeping the right hand tyre here just on this little crack here, in order to then propel ourselves towards the next apex on the right hand side. You can see here we have managed to get as close as possible, maybe a little bit too close there, as we have actually rubbed it. Now usually here, where I'm going to stop the video, we would then hold the kart to the left hand side, just missing the part of the track that's sticking out. However, unfortunately on this evening there was a little bit of condensation and we had to go around it, which is obviously going to affect our lap times a little bit. Moving on to the most crucial part of the track, you want to stay to the left hand side here. The first line on the floor that is shown with the two arrows will be my sort of turning point, and then the second one will then be once again the braking point for this section of the track. Getting the kart rotated, and at this point, once the kart has slowed down enough, I will then get flat out on the accelerator once again, just missing that apex as we leave the corner, trying to maintain the same steering angle throughout, as I mentioned earlier, throughout the Mickey Mouse section. Now usually I would then begin to drift back towards the middle of the track. Obviously I'm unable to do this in this lap just due to the fact that there is someone on our inside. However, you can see I'm still doing it here, and we're coming up to our next reference as we're staying flat out coming up the ramp. And here we have a little white splodge on the floor. I'll usually try and run my right tyre over this just to try and hold the same steering angle throughout whilst I'm flat out, running over the second white splodge here on the floor. Pretty easy references to gauge to then move towards the apex here whilst just maintaining the same steering angle and staying flat out. Unfortunately, we've missed the apex here on this lap, so not perfect, but you can see we're then running out as wide as possible on the left hand side to run alongside the barrier. Now coming into the left hand braking zone here, we have our braking point, this small line on the left, which is quite difficult to see, and then my turning point is this larger patch. You can see I'm only using about 10% brake pressure, once again aiming for this apex. It's a little bit of a later apex, but I like to take it quite tight. You can see I'm back on the throttle quite early before the corner, just to ensure that we are then getting as much momentum out of the corner again. Once more, we have a little reference, a white spot on the floor. I like to run over this in order to then switch the kart back to the right, ready to take on the second hairpin and the next apex in the track. Bearing in mind, you want to keep your foot planted flat out this whole time, especially from leaving the first hairpin. We then run the car out all the way to the left hand side here, almost touching the barriers, in order to preserve as much momentum as possible. Now as we come down the ramp on the left hand side here, there is a little pallet which I'm going to point out. I usually begin to turn in 2 to 2.5 kart lengths before that, then aiming just to miss this first apex here on the corner. Now there's the little black line on the floor. I usually brake at 10% here, as I'm keeping the steering angle the same, or even lift off depending on the conditions, as we then move round to this next little black and yellow line on the floor. This is where I'll then lift off the brake and get flat on the power, ready to hit this very last apex on the track. Here you can see trying to get as close as possible to the last real corner before then running the car out wide in almost a diagonal line coming across the start finish line. You want to try and hold this angle coming down, as it does minimize the track length, and in this lap we do in fact come across the line with a 37.594, which is not the fastest time at the track so far, but I hope you guys can have a little bit of help with this video. If you have, can you please leave a like on the video down below and subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you haven't already, as I really do appreciate it and it means the world to me. But in the meantime, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.